Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with Morning Express, 2 minutes past 7 a.m. In case you're just joining us, we want to review a couple of issues that stood out throughout the week. One of them being the politics of coalition or convenience. We asked the question, is it just a coalition of convenience for the purpose of by-elections, a plan to isolate the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, or a concrete strategy for the 2022 general election? Well, this is the question on Kenyans' minds as ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula, and KANU's Gideon Moi continue joint campaigns for several by-elections slated for early next month. Now, let's take a look at that report by our political reporter Murimi Mwangi, who gives an insight on the backroom politics at play and explains why several hurdles stand in the way of this mooted alliance.
Opportunity, they say, dances with those already on the dance floor. And now, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi, Ford Kenya's Moses Wetangula, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, and KANU's Gideon Moi are all on the pre-2022 polls political dance floor. Having noticed an opportunity in 3 parliamentary by-elections slated for early next month.
This is a sacred union, a new idea, a new formula to make sure this country remains stable and full of integrity, devoid of economic saboteurs.
But what really binds the four together, and how might this alliance performance in the Machakos senatorial by-election and member of parliament seats for Kabuchai and Matungu constituencies affect the 2022 President Uhuru Kenyatta succession question? Most outstanding across the 3 by-elections is the existence of a common presumed enemy, the Deputy President William Ruto-inclined United Democratic Alliance. But on the horizon is ODM's Raila Odinga, whose party is also fielding a candidate in Matungu to challenge Mudavadi's party candidate Peter Nabulindo. Questions now being asked as to whether the new alliance is isolating Odinga.
Our supporters in Matungu insisted we had to have a candidate for them. And of course we have Honorable David Were flying our flag. We don't therefore see a situation in which we can be saying Prime Minister Raila Odinga is being isolated.
For me, it's not a coming together for the convenience of the by-elections that are taking place today. It's a coming together, a continuation of what has been happening, a strengthening of the union in preparation for the 2022 general election. Moi
is already in a post-election coalition agreement with Kenyatta's Jubilee Party, a pact that saw KANU members slotted in key strategic parliamentary committees, with West Pokot Senator Samuel Pogishu taking up the Senate Majority Leader's post. Kalonzo, on the other hand, is yet to advance his relation with Kenyatta beyond the cooperation pact Wiper signed with Jubilee on the 17th of June last year. Legally, ODM, ANC, Ford Kenya and Wiper are still bound to the NASA coalition agreement.
After this by-election, now we'll go for joint rallies. You'll see. We work on a solid cooperation. So the leaders will sit. Our leaders, top leaders, the party leaders, will sit and work on structures that will culminate into a coalition.
Meanwhile, Odinga Thursday afternoon met with former United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Secretary General Muhisa Kitui, who recently returned to the country and declared interest in the presidency. Also present at the meeting was Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana, also eyeing the top seat, and Odinga's close confidant, Siaya Senator James Orengo. The meeting now has tongues wagging and eyebrows raised over the possibility that yet another political alliance could be in the offing. Murimi Mwangi, KTN News.
Well, it's interesting. Is it just a coming together for the convenience of the by-election, or it will roll out till the 2022 general election? That's a proper question, and I think I'll engage the ANC party member in our panel, Kasim Tandaza. Well, what do you make of this realignment? I know you mentioned your take earlier on, but the NASA coalition still being rooted and still being within. What do you make of this?
Well, when it comes to political parties, I would start by saying that the registrar of political parties has not been doing very well in matters in management of political parties. And that is why we have so many coalitions or non-coalitions, cooperations, and at one point people are talking of cohabitation and all those manners which are not defined in law. About the NASA agreement, whether it is still dead or breathing or in ICU, is another matter which really doesn't help us now. But as we know, whenever there is a general election coming up, there will always be new formations. And I think this is one of them. Whether it's going to last for the remaining 1.5 years, that's another story to tell. In politics, we normally say a day is a very long time. We saw it in the last general election, where people sat, agreed that now we have this formation, and as you are waiting to pen the last agreement, you find the person in another coalition, unveiling another coalition. That is part of politics. But by and large, we know that the next president of this country will be formed by coalitions, and unfortunately, I repeat, unfortunately, tribal coalitions, because that is the way we are. Until we agree that we are tribal in this country and look for solutions, trying to pretend from a theoretical point of view, trying to equate Kenya and America, Professor, for this matter, to me, I think is far-fetched. Okay. But I can even say in America now, if you see the way the black Americans are behaving in terms of their numbers and their voting patterns, it's more or less tribal. Okay, we might not pin them as tribalistic, but it's more or less a coalition of a certain ethnic or certain persuasion in that matter. But in Kenya here, that is the way we are. It is not the best way, but that's the way we are. And save for repetition, I'm saying more coalitions and more groupings will have to join in to form the next government. Okay, well, what's your take on those who say that Kabuchai and Matungu are a litmus test? Briefly. Well, I would not really take it that way, because when it comes to voting of a parliamentarian, just as an MCA, it does not, in most cases, translate into the national politics. But your party leader did mention this is the stepping stone. We have to put it that way, because I'm going to say I'll also go to Kabuchai to campaign for my party, for the candidate of our party. That one I'll have to do as a national leader. But at the end of the day, while we would want to retain that seat, remember that seat was already an ANC seat. It is only fair that we have to retain it. I don't also believe that somebody should leave it to us. You know, democracy dictates that once there is an opportunity, even in my constituency, if my brother decides to stand against me, let's be it, the voter is going to decide. But I'm falling short of saying, if we lose, for any reason, should we lose Matungu or Wetangula loses Kabuchai, then that translates into the national vote. Okay. You know, in the local voting, people go for tribal, not only, you know, sometimes you think that Luya is a tribe, but in between there are other tribes. You might think once you talk of a Tiriki, then it's a tribe, but they are clans. Okay. People vote. I was in Matungu during the burial, and I come to learn that they are the Wangas who are the majority, they are this, they are this. And actually, when it comes to the actual voting, you cannot ignore that voting pattern. Well, speaking of voting patterns, let's just bring in Dr. Pamela Odhiambo, who's joining us via way of Zoom. She's the woman representative for Migori County. What do you make of the recent alignments and realignments? We have that one fronted by the Wiper Party, where ANC, Ford Kenya, and KANU. But we've also seen Raila Odinga meeting various presidential hopefuls who've given their name and their intent to run in the 2022 general election. What do you make of it, Dr.?
Thank you very much and good morning, Kenya. Sorry for the inconveniences that my network has caused in the past session.
No problem.
However, I'm glad to be with you now. And as I say good morning to Kenya, it is important to note that those political alliances are expected from time to time, both at local level. You know, when you are looking for votes, you have to look for people who can support your idea, even at the local ward level or even constituency and like that, and until the national level. But what saddens me about them is that they are not really based on serious ideologies. For example, the one that is going on now in Matungu, Kabuchai, I think basically it is a matter of looking for winning that particular seat. It is not because these parties feel they have something in common to share that can bind them together for the rest of the time and as we move into the future. So for now, I think it's more of a convenience just to win the Matungu seat or the Kabuchai seat. However, I don't think it is really wrong in politics to make these alliances. It is good to look for people who can support you as a candidate or your candidate in case you are a party leader and such like. The other thing that I think I overheard as you were talking to my colleague there is about the content component of being the litmus. I really don't think what is happening now in Kenya is anything. If any of the parties that will win Matungu will indicate what will happen in 2022, so many things are yet to happen between now and 2022. And more so when it comes to the presidential election, I think Kenyans have become a little wiser. Sometimes there are indications that Kenyans might not even go by parties per se. Kenyans may even reduce voting patterns to individuals, that they would vote for Pamela because they believe in Pamela and Pamela may be able to deliver what they really desire or the promises that Pamela is offering is resonating with what they really think they want. So we need to be a little careful. Yes, we know the party is still going to play a very critical role in mobilizing the one critical mass, the membership. But again, it is important that we know that there is a lot of shift behavior in the decision of the voters. So that's why we have to be honest. Even as we go on now, we have seen people who have been elected on independent tickets. What does that say? It says that the voters think they need this person regardless
All right.
of the party that they are. And then allow me just to comment one sentence in the issue of being tribal. I think our hosts allow me with a lot of respect to differ with everybody who keeps clamping Kenyans and everything we do as being tribal. Listen, my thinking is, and my philosophy is, before Pamela is known nationally to be a leader, Pamela originates from some family which belongs to some community and some ethnic group and tribe, as you may put it in Kenya.
All right.
But sometimes from there, we go on and the province gets to know that Pamela is a leader, and then Pamela goes out to other places in the country to get to say, I am a leader, and the people can rally behind her. The idea of all the time we want to condemn ourselves on tribal basis, I think it is high time we accepted that we are people who have originated from a certain tribe and we are speaking a certain language, and these languages are not a sin. They are God-given tools for us to communicate to the people around us. So I think going forward, this terminology of terming leaders, tribal leaders and all that, I think it is in order that our tribes will recognize that we have some leadership ability and some idea that they need to support as we go out there. So to me, tribe is a family, a platform where somebody starts from.
Okay, that's interesting. Professor, you're smiling. I'd like to know why, even as you add your voice to this.
Because I like what Mheshimiwa Pamela is saying there, really. This is one area where we seem to be pulling ourselves back when our society has moved ahead of everyone else in dissolving the tribe. There are three leaders here I think you cannot isolate, because you talked about whether this an attempt to isolate the former Prime Minister.
Yes.
I'll tell you, for example, I cannot understand why Mundavandi is not having national traction as a leader, because he is one of the most careful politicians I have seen here. Every statement Mundavandi puts through is well thought through, and it has substance. So I don't understand why he doesn't have national traction. Now, telling to the former Prime Minister, Raila transcended the tribe long time ago. He has support across this country. So there's no plan can be made that can claim to isolate him. You can see also what is happening to the Deputy President. That's why he's attracting all this attention. The people, in an attempt to, they have taken him serious as a candidate because he has also transcended the tribe. Now, having said that also, let me say one weakness with that grouping I've seen. They have brought them together, but they are saying, they are calling Raila to join them. It's like they don't have confidence in themselves in running this race and being elected in their own right. I think they should stop asking anyone else to join them. They should say, this is our team, and we are selling this platform as this team. Because the moment you start saying, look, we are under an agreement, you come and join us, you dampen your own spirit, and people induce confidence in you that now you are going to be a leader who can now move us on your own right.
Okay, but in their defense, the NASA coalition is still within intact. They're within their right to speak like this, bearing in mind what was agreed upon. But we all know dissension is grounds for divorce, yeah? Okay, anyway,
yes.
Let's speak to this.
That's true.
It's quite true. Pamela Odhiambo, let me bring you in, because ODM is definitely still within the NASA coalition, bearing in mind that Kalonzo did mention that it is still alive in respect to the three-member parties being put together, and they want to add more parties to it. What do you spell about the NASA coalition as an ODM member? Is it dead? Logically, well, what do you make of it?
That's interesting. From the onset, as we ended the 2017 election, at some stage we were expecting, and especially this particular time, we were swearing in Raila Odinga as the people's president. The other members chickened out, and they have been neither here nor there. So, in principle, the NASA coalition may be still alive, but actions sometimes also speak louder than words. That when we need a decisive action, like a team, then the others are not there. So with that, I really don't know what to make out of it. But given the previous remark that you just made through my colleague there, as you were talking about the issue of the national outlook of or the isolation of Raila and all that, and the new coalition that they are now forming, and then they are telling Raila to come on board. Mm-hmm. And one wonders why they would have not just stuck the original, the three parties, and then invite all these others to come on board. How do you step aside and then you say, now we have opened another door, you call one member to come in? I think, yes, NASA coalition, possibly on principle it may be there, but in action, I think most of the things that we have been doing all along now, these parties are actually doing it as independent or as individual parties. And just allow me to add my voice to the professor who spoke a few minutes ago. Okay. It is not possible to really isolate Raila in this nation. Even the party alone, ODM, in every constituency in this country, we have ODM party leaders to the grassroots. So ODM party is one of those parties which have got true, genuine national outlook. And so I think anybody imagining that moving away from Raila only makes him a Nyanza leader or something like that, I think that person is very wrong, and they need to rethink. However, whatever coalitions that are coming in, I said earlier, that a lot is yet to happen between now and 2022.
Okay.
And people will be holding hands with X and Y and everybody else who can actually support the idea, especially those who are going for the presidential bids. I think they are bound to form as many coalitions as they can imagine would support them and their agenda.
I'd beg to ask, quite briefly, is this a cause for worry within the ODM ranks, this new political formation?
I don't think we are worried about it, because by the end of the day, let us be very honest. All these people who are colluding to form alliances, all of them unfortunately want to be president, and we can only have one slot for a president. So I don't think we are worried. As I have said, the coalitions will come and go, and ODM is, as I have said, is the only national party that I know and stable. So I'll not be surprised at some stage, some of these guys will actually come back and make coalitions with ODM as well.
All right. Well, that's definitely a matter of time. But Kasim, even as we speak about these coalitions, in totality, as we conclude, you've come under criticism as the ANC party, part of this coalition that has just come up, not fronting the ideology. Professor just mentioned it right now. Well, what do you mention to this? What do you speak to this? The politics of ideology is not just the kingpins coming together. Well, what agenda is being put on the table? What do you speak to this?
I think Professor Naitule here put it so well, that if it comes to issues pertinent to this country, then my party leader, Musalia, comes on top. He talks about the economy, the economy, the economy. We'll all agree that our economy is not doing well, our economy is in a very bad state, and for sure, through experience that he handled when he was the Minister of Finance, everybody at that level will agree Musalia can be able to take this economy to where it deserves to be. But who listens to that? Very few voters do that. Now, unfortunately, I'm in between two professors here who, to me, I think they are very idealistic. When Professor Pamela said that people now have moved into ideologies and they would want to look at manifestos and all that, I will only challenge Professor Pamela to vie in Tharaka-Nithi or in Meru in the next 22 elections with the good manifesto and all the ideologies that she has, and see how many votes she's going to get. She will not move because she knows she can't win a seat outside her area. And that is the reality on the ground. Even when we talk about the Right Honorable Odinga being a national leader, we agree. He transcends all over the country. But remember, Mount Kenya has never voted for him. Even when he tends to get votes all over, Mount Kenya has never voted for him. So that is the reality on the ground. Going forward in ODM, and I'm an ANC party member, they called for presidential aspirants. Fortunately, 001, our governor of Mombasa, also put his application to be given the party ticket as a presidential candidate. We are yet going to see whether they are going to carry those nominations transparently. And as we've said, the Right Honorable himself has not yet said that. I don't know whether he picked those nomination forms, but for sure, now that it is not in the media, I think he didn't pick the nomination forms apart from the others who applied. But going forward, the ideal situation would be to elect a president. This is like a CEO of this country who has a proven track record in management of resources, more so, because that is where we're actually lacking behind. And for that matter, I agree with the professor and even Pamela, if she is to be honest. Musalia has been very pertinent about the issue of the economy, which is the main problem right now. The issue of corruption, yes, it is also a problem. And even when you look at all the leaders at that level, I think he could be the only one who has not had so many corruption scandals compared to the others. But going out, as the professor had said, is he known in Tana River? That is the problem. Will he get votes in Tharaka? That is the problem. People will go back to their tribal cocoons. The unfortunate bit, and that is the reality on the ground.
As we conclude on this matter, I think it would be proper to give you just a minute to respond as we put this matter and complete it in totality, because we definitely have to canvass various issues that still stood out in this particular week. Professor, 1 minute.
I think the response is very simple. All these formations, they're good. It's the democratic right.
True.
But please begin by telling us about the future of this country, the future of the economic, the investment you make in education, in health, and where you will get that money. How to get that out of this heavy taxation, because heavy taxation means the country will never move. You need money in your pocket. It's called disposable income for investment. So we need serious plans. We don't want platitudes.
But is this what the electorate want to hear?
The electorate want to hear that, believe me.
Okay.
The electorate want to hear that.
Okay, Pamela Odhiambo, your take on this?
Thank you very much. I think I agree with the professor that all formations, those formations are good. But my prayer is that they be based on some ideologies that can carry this country forward into the future. Number two, I want to agree with my colleague there as they say that Mudavadi speaks ideology, speaks about economy, but he doesn't know that from the history and the track record of Mudavadi, what has disappointed many Kenyans, including myself, in him is his appearance or perception of indecisiveness. Sometimes he's never there and able to act when Kenyans really expect it. And I think the question of tribalism and not getting votes here or there may not just arise per se. I want to plead with my colleague to know that yes, there are those who are still thinking I will only vote Pamela because she speaks the same language as myself. Yeah. But the majority of the youth today are looking forward to getting some leader who actually resonates with what they think is ailing this country. Right. As for the Mount Kenya case with Odinga, it is all known, and even the Mount Kenya people have accepted that they have been told lies and lies and lies upon Odinga, and that is only what their fear is. Otherwise, Odinga is one man that I think all Kenyans, including those Mount Kenya people, appreciate, because most of his efforts have actually ended up giving Kenyans benefits and even this freedom that we are now talking about of having parties, coalitions, and what have you. Okay. It is the effort of this one Odinga. So I'm appealing to Kenyans that even as we move forward, let us peg our issues, our politics on issues that are affecting all of us, and not just a matter of tribal or a matter of I supported you last time, now support me. Okay. If you don't have a good idea why we are supporting you, please step aside and let somebody who can steer this country into greatness and into job opportunities and into prosperity for all of us lead this country. I think that's what I want to say this morning.
Okay, we'll definitely take a break on that particular point, but when we come back, gentlemen and lady, we'll delve deeper into that particular proposal to criminalize the hustler versus dynasty narrative, which has definitely been met with strong reaction from the political players and is definitely has split the political allies along the middle. Not just that, the journey of the BBI in the counties. We'll take a look at this and much more. Let's take that short break. We'll be back.